Alright guys, Mike here from the Backyard Builds YouTube channel, here to talk about my cars. Let's start off with the Mark IV Supra. This is a 99 and a 5-speed car in Moonstone, which is that dark gray color. There's a pretty late color, I believe, in its introduction. It's only available on S2, the later model Supras. So this one's not perfect. It's got some little cosmetic issues or some scratches and stuff on the bumper. I got a broken corner light. It needs some little cosmetic stuff, but overall pretty much perfect spec for the Supra I was looking for when I was shopping for it. Outside, we've got some Blitz coilovers. It's got some Race TE37 reps on it. I think they're Rotas maybe. The car was pretty much slammed when I got it, slammed really low, so I've raised it up in the front and rear pretty significantly. It's got a TRD replica spoiler on the back of it. I think the top of it's supposed to be carbon fiber, but it might just be black. And then inside, it's mostly stock. It's got some Recaro confetti seats. It's got a Greddy shift knob thing. I think it might be a whole shifter assembly. And it's got an aftermarket clutch in it. It says OS Geiken on that sticker there, but not sure who makes the clutch. It's definitely aftermarket. It's very on-off. Go under the hood here. And under the hood here, we have our bone stock 2JZ GE non-VVTi engine. Interesting facts about Supras. So in the North American market, in the 98 model year, they converted them, the NA ones, to VVTi, and they left the turbo ones non-VVTi. And that was the last year for the North American market. But in Japan, they did basically the exact opposite. So in 98, 97 really, they converted the turbo models to VVTi, and then they left all of the NA models non-VVTi up until 2002. This gives you an advantage with these models because you get the updated block, which has more bosses on it for different mounts that can go in different cars, and it has the larger VVTi port for the oil feed, which allows you to convert this block to VVTi a little bit more easily. But since it's a non-VVTi, you still get the strong rods and pistons from the non-VVTi distributor motors. You still don't get a crank sensor like you did with the OBD2 US cars, but which means if you want to do a turbo or with a standalone and you want to use a crank sensor, you're going to need to do an oil pump or some sort of oil pump mod. But underneath, you can see it's literally nothing else done to it. The battery here, it's got some new US terminals on it because it had the JDM JIS terminals from the later cars. And of course, when that came off the ship after importing it, the battery was totally dead. Shout out to Kirk Price for these sweet hood struts. I got rid of my hood prop rod there. These things are amazing. It makes it so that you shut the hood nice and easily. And then let's talk about the Cressida. So at the time that we're filming this, the video has already come out, and this car's been featured on the Officially Gas YouTube channel. Shout out Jamie. And it's been featured on the That Dude in Blue channel. Shout out to David. But it was most recently filmed on Officially Gas, where I went over sort of the setup.
10 times the power it left the factory.
She is a weapon! I'll sort of go over the gist of this car. This is a 92 MX-83 Toyota Cressida originally. I bought the car in 2019 for $380 in Georgia. It had a 7MGE engine that was completely locked up. I trailered it back here to Florida and began basically immediately on a project swap. So back then in 2019, JZ engines were crazy cheap. Pre-COVID time, things were, sub $2,000 for some models and maybe up to $3,000 for a GTE VVTi. Obviously, we long for those days because all that stuff has basically doubled in price. The car is this white pearl color, and it was in really good shape otherwise, except for the fact that it was parked under a tree in Georgia, and that tree sap sort of got all over the car, and when I cleaned it, it ripped all the clear off. So my buddy Kevin and I have already started some of the sanding / body work around the car to get it prepped, start to get it painted. That's mostly the exterior body condition. The wheels are Mark IV Supra NA / low model turbo wheels. These are the 16s. These actually came off of a automatic JDM turbo car because they're this black color, this dark gray / black. 16x9s in the rear. They have some 275 Toyota Proxys TQs on them. Really great tire for this car. It's the widest tire I could fit under here so far. The rear brakes are JZX 100 rear rotors and Z32 rear calipers using a Japanese adapter. I can't recall the name of the company that makes them, but it's made for the X81 chassis, so they bolted right in. Super high quality piece and allows me to run those better rear calipers. The front is also Supra wheels. These are the NA fronts. I believe they're 16x8s. And I'm running a Continental Extreme Contact Sport 02 on the front with Z32 front calipers and rotors as well. Inside, I've got a set of Recaro SR3s. These came off of another car. I can't tell the pattern. I believe it's Honda, but it may actually be Subaru. I've got a Supra, Celica, Corolla XRS, Corolla S, Pontiac Vibe, Matrix, etc. style steering wheel upgrade. There's a Gran ST56 in there, and then I've got a PowerTune digital dash, which is off right now. In the back, I've actually got a surge tank set up and the battery relocated to the back. Most use of my trunk, so I've got that Odyssey battery back there, and then I've got a Radium surge tank. I've got one 450 Walbro pump, and in the surge tank, I have a 450 main pump and a 525 boost pump. There's no fuel issues on this car, but I may actually be upgrading that surge tank 450 to a 525 and the in-tank to a 525 just to have 525s all the way around. What you probably mostly want to see is what's under the hood, and that's going to be this fully built 2JZ GTE VVTi engine. This is a fourth-ish, maybe fifth really variation of the motor setup I've had in this car. Quickly going over them, the car was originally a 1.5 JZ. That's the motor I bought in 2019 or 2020. It was a blown up bottom end 2JZ VVTi, so weak rod motor. I had a 1JZ head stock. I basically did a stock rebuild on that. Had that in the car for a couple of 100 miles, and I melted a piston. I then took that same head. I bought a built short block from Induction Performance, but this is around the time that I was doing a lot of learning. I was learning about the platform, really. I was learning about tuning. I was a novice in comparison, and I was pushing the limits. I didn't have the right part set up for how much boost and how much power I was trying to push. And ultimately, I ended up melting another piston on that motor. That was 32 PSI on pump fuel with a single pump. There were some issues there and ended up melting a piston. So I had that block rebuilt, upgraded to billet mains at that time. CP pistons, I have BC rods, ARP, all that stuff. And then I had that head fully built at that time. I had it ported. I put oversized valves on the exhaust side on the intake side. The 1JZ already has a bigger exhaust valve than the 2JZ. Upgraded springs, all that good stuff, cams, and Borg Warner turbo, which I think is actually still sitting on the shelf over there. S366, and I made 820 wheel horsepower at around 32 PSI boost. I had that set up for a really long time in the car. I had a lot of fun with it, but ultimately I did another build for an IS300 with a VVTi cylinder head, and I got hooked on the torque and the responsiveness of VVTi. So earlier this year, maybe late last year, I kind of don't remember anymore, I pulled the entire setup, which requires everything that bolts to the head be changed. It's all different between 1JZ and 2JZ. So it required me to get new intake manifold, fuel rail, fabrication work, throttle body, head, cams, valve covers, turbo manifold, turbo, etc. I swapped it all out, and I did a big upgrade to this 2JZ GTE VVTi. So this engine is the same engine that was in it before. The bottom end, like I said, has billet mains. That was actually built by Scotty's Racing Engines. And then the cylinder head is V&M Performance. They're kind of the same entity, if you will. They work out of the same shop. You can kind of see the V&M plaque down there. It may be a little hard to see. But this is a fully CNC ported head, 264 cams, GSC springs, SuperTech valves, Ferrea guides, Ferrea keepers, high dollar parts in here. For the head, I've got some stock intake manifold parts, but I've got the Venom intake adapter for a Bosch 74mm throttle body, and then I have these Wiggin style clamps throughout, so I have them on the intercooler, on the turbo, and on the intake, and at the other side of the intercooler. That's a Torx one, but these other ones are, I don't remember where I got them from. Precision 6870 Gen 2 ball bearing turbo and an Artec manifold. Twin wastegates, it's all Turbo Smart, everything in here. So 2 Turbo Smart wastegates, their oil pressure regulator, their fuel pressure regulator, and their blow-off valve. Radium pretty much does the fuel system as you've seen. The rail, I have ID 1750 injectors, and I have the Radium catch can there. Short of that, it's kind of what you see. Stock clutch fan. It's got R35 coil packs, but it's kind of just, a little garage build that I've done here over the years. I'm guessing, I have not dynoed this setup, but I'm guessing just with the performance increase that I have on it, it's somewhere in the realm of 900 horsepower. Maybe less, maybe more, I'm not really sure. But I think it's around that figure based on how the car performs in relation to how it did at 820 horsepower. So up front, kind of wrap it up here, I have a JZX81, or I'm sorry, this is a GX81 JDM front bumper. Tough to see here, but this isn't a US bench. It's got a little bit of hole for the intercooler, but not too much. I've got this AeroCut suite, AeroCut coil plate here, coil radiator, and stuff like that. So yep, those are my 2 cars. Obviously I have other regular cars that are not as interesting, but that's it. Wanted to show these off and introduce them to you guys, and will be more content coming here soon related to Austin's 8HP swap.